Welcome to October 12, 2020 Board of Education's regular meeting. Mr. Hattery, could you please call the roll?
Mr. King,
Here.
Ms. Reese, Ms. Sebastian,
Here.
Mr. Elo,
Here.
Ms. Mansfield.
Here.
Excellent. Y'all please rise and join in with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do you have any possible new agenda items to add or agenda additions? Okay. Moving forward. Turn over to Mr. Ferks.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting for this evening. Item number 4 has to do with administrative reports. Giving the first administrative report this evening will be elementary principal, Ms. Jody Petty.
Good evening. Have several really great things to share with everyone concerning our teaching staff and some accomplishments that have taken place here over the last several weeks since our last board meeting. First of all, Bo Townsend, they did a special promotional thing where people came in and when they test drove cars and actually purchased a car, that Bo Townsend was able to make some donations to area teachers. And so we had several teachers I know across the district, but in the elementary, we had teachers that were chosen to receive $200 just money to spend in their classroom, which was a great thing. And so they showed up out of the blue with 2 representatives and were able to provide those monies to some of our teachers. So I'd like to congratulate Rebecca Fry in kindergarten, Mindy Campbell in 4th grade, Erin Henry in 4th grade, and Christine Brinson in 5th grade for being selected to receive those $200 checks. Special thank you to Bo Townsend for their generosity. That's always a great thing, you know, when out of the blue, you're not expecting to get, wow, I get some free money from my classroom. So that was great. Second item, just to bring to you is one of our counselors, Mrs. Sarah Davidson, who is now assigned to the elementary as a social and emotional wellness counselor. She did apply for and get one of our TIP Foundation grants. She intends to use that to provide some wellness care packages. This grant is actually for staff. Typically, a lot of times the grants are for student-centered type things, but this is for our staff to navigate through the stress of teaching during this COVID-19 period. So total of $1,000 for this purpose, and that was one of 10 grants awarded from the TIP Foundation. So again, they continue to provide our district as well as many other great places additional funding. So we congratulate Mrs. Davidson for her efforts. You know, it does take some effort to write those grants and submit them. So thank you so much for obtaining those monies for our school district. Third item, another teacher went out of her way to apply for something that provided extra monies for she and her students as well. Mrs. Jamie Strobridge, which is one of our 1st grade teachers. She was recently notified she received a grant prize from Scholastic worth $500 and 500 bonus Scholastic points, which actually is a considerable addition as well. She applied, James Patterson did a special grant through Scholastic book clubs, and she was selected. So congratulations to her. Her money and the bonus points from the grant is going to be used to purchase books for the kids to entertain and inspire and excite kids and make sure that they continue to love reading. So congratulations to Mrs. Strobridge. Interesting, the next item, received a letter from iReady, which is a company and a product that we just started using at the end of last year. We were piloting it to see if we'd like to use it this year. It is in place this year in reading and math, but interestingly enough, I received a letter from them stating that we were recognized as having a strong iReady usage level during COVID, which I thought was kind of interesting. which just goes to show that our students and our families and our teachers communicated very well. And through that March to May time period, lots of connections with reading and math using those iReady resources. So just thought that was interesting. They would send us a letter letting us know that, our school was considered a very strong usage level. So just wanted to share that and to, again, thank teachers and especially our parents and families for staying on board with us during the COVID time and having some resources that we could use. Also, a special thank you to Mr. Borchers, our curriculum supervisor. He was one of the people that really brought this to our attention, that this might be a resource to look into. So kudos to him. A couple other items. Of course, Spirit Week has come and gone since the last board meeting. Just shows a few of the pajama day photos, but the kids always love it when there's a theme day, and I have to admit the adults like it too. It's kind of fun, bring a little fun right now. It's kind of hard to find a little fun, a lot of serious things going on right now. So these are just a couple pictures of pajama day and the kids and the adults enjoying those type of Spirit Week activities. So just kind of fun. We have a different day for each week, or a different theme for each day of the week. So, and then some upcoming events. There is a rescheduled, when it says Tuesday, October 13th, which would be tomorrow night. That was originally scheduled as PTO meeting. That's just an error. I forgot that it was rescheduled for next week because tomorrow night we're doing the Tip of Teacher night at Texas Roadhouse. So they did reschedule that for a week later. So I apologize for that error. That is on the October 20th. Our Student of the Month awards are coming back up again for October. Mrs. Roll and I will be visiting classrooms. And this year we kind of add a little fun to it. We're trying not to tell the kids who got the Student of the Month until we arrive. And it's kind of like a big deal. So we're trying to make that a little bit more fun. Our third grade state reading testing is coming up. We have 2 dates selected for our third graders. And then we also have Friday, October 23rd, where we're off school. And we're taking that opportunity to have our option C students, if they are a third grader, to come in on that day. Mr. Borchers is heading that up for us. And we're going to get that taken care of along with some kindergarten testing and all kinds of things that can happen on that day when other students are out of the building. So we hope that goes well. This is our first shot at that, so we'll see how that goes. Report cards coming home for quarter 1 on October 30th, and we're continuing to do our math facts treats. That will come only from us. That's not from a variety of people bringing something into the building. We want to continue to encourage those kids to know their math facts, because computation is kind of difficult unless you know your basic facts. So we continue to stress that. So that'll be coming up for kids at the beginning of November. And that is all that I have shared this evening. Unless you have some questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions?
Okay,
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next up will be middle school principal, Mr. Tim Ziegler.
Okay, we also recognize Students of the Month for the first time. Staff nominated 47 students out of all 3 grades. And for me, I had a first. 6th grade girls, we ended up with a tie, 3-way tie. So we just celebrated all 3 of them. Brooke Caluette, Hayden Farce, and Allison Stitzel, as well as our boy for 6th grade, Warren Landis. 7th graders, Delaney Frank and Jason Mata. And 8th graders, Addison Cox and Isaiah Mangrum. Also want to report that our middle school football team is currently 6-0. They have a bye week this week and will end the season next Tuesday at home against Miami East. School picture retakes are scheduled for November the 11th. Wanted to update you. I don't think that I have any specifics on why this is yet, but the Washington, D.C. trip that was moved to March, we had 82 students paid for through the first payment. There are only 62 students that have made the second payment, which was due the first week of this month. So we're trying to make contact to see if they've changed their mind or waiting. The company's being very good about some leeway on this with the current circumstances. Also let you know that we're advertising for members of Mute Machine. But since everything is going to be virtual, there is no cost for students to join that this year. And as a matter of fact, Muse Machine, a rep just said they don't even have their schedule yet, but we'll be getting that out. They still plan on having performances, but it'll be a little different than in the past. Won't be any in-school activities. Everything will be recorded. Science fair. While the county has established there would be no Miami County Science Days, there will be a district and a state science day. So Mrs. Gross will be inviting students to submit their science fair projects and go through all the ratings of those to go on to those 2 days. And since last month, I did report that we had a number of 7th graders that didn't have their shots. I thought it would be good to report that everyone's documentation in the 7th grade, whether they're here or on option C, has been taken care of. So everyone's a go. And that's it for the middle school.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
All right, high school principal, Mr. Barrett Sloan.
Evening. We had a good week with homecoming despite the COVID restrictions that we had. We did do the traditional dress up days. Had some very entertaining costumes. The student council picked two students each day and presented them with a small $5 gift card. They didn't pick me ever, but I tried. The student council did the homecoming court on Wednesday evening in order to allow more parents and family to attend rather than do it just on Friday evening before the football game, because then everybody would have had to clear out and everything would have had to been disinfected and then let people in for the football game. So it was moved to Wednesday evening and had quite a few people show up for that. The student council sponsored a cornhole tournament for the first time. And this was before the football game on Friday night. They gave gift cards to the winners of that cornhole tournament. They also had pizza for the students that were there as well. And then, of course, the football game itself, for the first time in a number of years, Bethel defeated Miami East with a score of 28-19. So it was good to see that. Secondly, we had a representatives from Jostens come in, and Jostens presented information to the sophomores about class rings and presented to the seniors about their graduation caps and gowns and announcements. Then they came back about a week or so later and collected orders. Jostens also this year is beginning to offer Letterman jackets, so that's an option for our students to get through Jostens as well. At this point, seniors can still place orders online if they did not turn in their order for their cap and gown, which we tend to have each year. We have a few that don't turn in their orders, so it comes down to it. We're encouraging them to do so, so they have to do that online from this point on. Our first parent-teacher conference of the year took place last Thursday. It was the first opportunity that we had to actually have in-person meetings, or teachers had set up virtual meetings with those parents that were interested in that option. So it was good to see there. And also that evening, the guidance counselors, the school counselors, met with individual and small groups of families concerning College Credit Plus information for next year. Coming up next week, we have a representative from the MVCTC. Normally they send a group of students, 6, 8, 10 students around to the different schools to present the programs that CTC has to offer. This year, we are allowing just an adult representative to come, and that adult representative will present information concerning the programs that the Tech Center offers there. The students who have chosen to do online school this semester, they'll have a video that they can watch that will be uploaded in the Google Classroom, and then they'll receive a mailing from CTC as well with all the programs and information in that. Coming up later this week, we have the PSAT test in the gym. End of first quarter is right around the corner, and grade cards will be sent home October 30th. And like Mr. Ziegler mentioned, picture retake day is scheduled November 11th. So that's my report for this month. If anybody has questions.
Questions, comments?
I actually have two general ones for all the administrators while they're still here. I want to take the time to say thank you. I know the last week especially was a little bit stressful with COVID, and I just want to thank you for handling all of that very professionally. I know nobody wants to hear their kids quarantined, and so thank you for your professionalism in handling all of that. And the second thing is more directed at the parents. If they're, we talked about social emotional counselors. Ms. Petty, you brought a grant up one of your students had received. If your student has emotional or behavioral issues, or you hear of a situation that is just something that is concerning, please reach out to either Ms. Davidson or to help me out,
Ms. Henderson.
Ms. Henderson. I mean, these are unprecedented times we're living in, and so many kids are online right now. So please, the board has felt very strongly about hiring two mental, emotional, social emotional wellness counselors. And I just want to see if your child or other children, please make sure they're getting the help they need.
I have a general question too.
Go ahead.
So I just wondered how the kids were doing overall, like, as far as being here during this time. Has learning changed? Are the grades dropping or going up, or just, a general feel of how you think it's going?
I mean, I guess I would say that the students are happy to be here overall. I don't think they want to have to do remote learning like we had to do in the spring. So they are, they're for the most part following the different guidelines and the rules that are set in place with COVID. They're becoming really cognizant of the fact that if they forget their mask or something, they know that they need to go get one, sanitizing their hands and things along those lines. If they slip up, correcting them, and there's no attitude given back, or at least in the high school, nothing along those lines. I think they're just generally glad to be here, happy to be here, which, to them, kind of, they're happy to be at school. So that's what I see in the high school.
I would concur. I've had no issues. A couple of folks on the bus get up early in the morning and run out there and don't have their mask we've had to address, but it is not an issue at school. I think that's a sure sign that they would rather be here than be at home. Grades, want to ask that question in a couple of weeks when the quarter's over, I'll have a great distribution ready for you.
I just wonder what the general feel was. I mean, if they're, if they enjoy being here.
I think good. I think good also. But I open that up to staff members to report. Hopefully Tracy can share a part of that. So.
Yes, thank you.
At the elementary level, I would definitely second what they're saying. Kids are definitely glad, to be here. We've seen a few more students that have never had any types of issues emotionally, with school express a few more. So we've been working with Mrs. Davidson about when she does classes with all of our students, offering an opportunity like a restorative practice where, kids have a safe and open environment where they can express, I hate this about COVID. I don't like this change about school. Providing them a safe place where they can express those and realize that they're not alone and that it's okay to not like this. And then, work together to find some acceptance for it. Because at the elementary level, it looks really different. I mean, it really does. It feels very different. It's almost like social isolation in some ways. They get to come to school and they get to see friends and their teacher, but they are with those same, 20, 25 students all day long. So it's hard, if they have, someone that they are really connected to in a different class and they have zero opportunity to interact with them at all. But in general, with masks, some of our youngest kids, struggle here and there, just keep it up over their nose and, just wearing it properly, which is, totally expected, but they're really great. Whenever you mention it to them, they do a better job with it and they generally seem happy. Like I said, we have some outliers, but, we're working, together with the staff is very supportive of that. In terms of grades, also at the elementary level, we have, gaps when they're learning to read, the ladder is tall in terms of the skills that you gain. So we have some gaps from the spring and just from the long length of being out of school. So especially in English language arts, we just, this last week sent a letter out to our parents. Some have chosen to hold it for the next round of conferences, but we are grading less in our language arts because we are providing more in-class support that we really feel students need at this time. We do have a new language arts curriculum, which can always be tricky for students, but also just to help support them and give them what they need to be successful independently down the road. And then, same with math, just identifying where are those gaps and how can we help kids.
Thank you.
I'll add one more comment because I think it's the one I don't know how the kids feel, but I know at lunch when they get to take their mask off and eat, I've gone around and taken pictures and then we post them to run on the TV. And since the kids started school with a mask on, I had a number of staff members come up and say, it was good to see some of those pictures. I didn't know what their whole face looked like. And here we're 8 weeks into the school year. So I'm sure kids feel that way too.
It's fun to go to lunch and to go to recess when you can see them the way we're used to seeing them, laughing and interacting. But it's, do what it takes to keep the doors open.
Ms. Brewer, were you gonna make a comment on the staff?
Staff is happy to be here as well. Mrs. Petty made the comment about us liking Spirit Week. Little things like that really get us going. On Fridays in high school, since we can't have a student section for the football team, we have themes. And every week so far, like last theme was pink. But we've had America, we've had flannel. Yeah, so it's really cool.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions? What I would like to say is thank you, congratulations, Ms. Davison and Ms. Strobridge for their donations they received. I've also heard from several people and experienced myself that Ms. Nicodemus is doing a fantastic job. So I know that's very difficult to communicate. I think she has maximized those opportunities. She communicates very effectively and is there working with all those families.
I have Tim, the numbers on the Washington trip, a lot of times the costs and so forth are affected by numbers. Is it going to be an issue there with 20 less kids perhaps?
Till we find out if they just didn't meet the payment or if cost is the issue. I'm not sure whether it's that or the ongoing COVID concerns. So we need to find the answer as to why they changed their mind.
And then Mr. Ziegler, best of luck to the middle school team against those rivals from the East. And hopefully they have the same luck as our high school team did and break the curse there. And thank you for following up with the student body issues, as well as taking pictures of our students and displaying them inside the school so we can maximize them knowing each other and celebrate those successes. In the high school, great job at the homecoming court, changing that so that there's more people could participate and not have the conflict with the high school under the new rules. I thought that was great. You did a great job also passing out to parents and students with regards to Jolston's and when to be here, when to turn it in, like that information was in a continuous flow. So I thought that was great. The question that I had for all of you is, have you heard how Google Classroom is going for the students that have been placed in quarantine? Have you gotten any feedback with the Google Classroom from those parents? Because I think it's like the teachers from the classes managing those. I'd just be curious to get feedback on how that is going with the parents assisting during the 14-day with that Google Classroom, or if there's anything we need to provide. Whether that's elementary.
For elementary, it's kind of running the full gamut. We have people that are completely able to do it and doesn't seem to have any issues, to, I'm still waiting on a family of 3 to come in and get Chromebooks that have been sitting there for over a week. You know, they said they needed them. Not sure why they haven't come get them. Maybe something has changed at home. I can tell you that I have a sub in a classroom today for 5th grade because we just could not provide a sub. And those kids, the teacher had everything ready on Google Classroom. Those kids knew exactly what to do. They finished up 2 whole class periods of things with absolutely no problem. So it was very evident to me that at least the upper elementary, those kids know exactly what to do because we've been implementing a technology day once a week to try to get kids prepared, to try to get teachers prepared on how to get those type of things ready. So I was really pleased with, I mean, it couldn't have went any better today.
Wow.
So I'm really pleased with what I've seen so far. I know it is a little bit more difficult for the youngest kids, but you know.
It's still at the younger elementary, it's just still navigating within Google Classroom itself, to my knowledge, hasn't been what's caused any of the issues. It's still just navigating some of the things that are put in, like how you submit. For example, if one of the assignments is in Google Slides, how, you know, your numbers, where they want it in there. I mean, it can be tricky, and you know, teachers are still working through, you know, some feedback of the best formats and things like that to use. But definitely to give a shout out to all those that were involved in getting Clever set up. It is an unbelievable miracle at the elementary level, especially for our youngest students. If you weren't aware, it's literally a QR code that you hold out to the camera, and it automatically signs them into their Clever account, and every single thing is loaded there. Their Google Classroom, and same for our ELA, any science sites, everything, and their passwords are automatically saved. It has made things so much more efficient in the classroom. That is one thing that the teachers have just raved about, and allowing easier access, you know, to technology for students.
So when we put, let's say, students on quarantine, right? How do the parents get that QR code for them to, they automatically get that?
Yep, so all of our staff have either put it in their student agenda or in their take-home folder, so it's taped in there.
Okay.
And then at home, all they have to do is go to clever.com. It brings up a box, and they just hold it up and it signs them in. Our Chromebooks here on campus are automatically set to sign in automatically. So when you open the screen, it looks for a Clever badge.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember that when the Chromebooks asked me for the Clever badge, and
Yep.
I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yep, and if they ever were to lose it or not have it, there is still a way for them, you know, to click on a button that takes them back to entering a username and password.
Right.
You know, they're used to in the past, but it's been really vital, you know, for us, especially for time.
Thank you.
I'd echo some of the same things at the high school, that when I'm in the classrooms doing observations of teachers, they're using the slides and the different functions of Google Classroom during their lessons. So the students are able to have their laptop right there, book right there in front of them, and click on things and follow along. And then I know many of the teachers have class groups in their emails, so they can send out a mass email just to that class with important information. So having that function is this year is helpful too. Previous years, teachers couldn't email students and vice versa. So this year with that tool, it's helpful. So things are going well with Google Classroom. As far as how it's going to work with quarantine, it's hard to say, since this is really day one of the majority of the kids. The couple that were quarantined last week are doing well with it, getting assignments turned in and things.
I concur, the email function of it has really improved communication. The fact that we have kids check out a Chromebook when they get here, use the same one all day, and then check it back in when they leave. If they've gone on quarantine, that's the Chromebook they take home. That has worked out nice. As far as house classroom working at home, I would only hear if they had a concern And we have had a parent call in and we just put them in touch with the teacher and that seems to take care of that issue. So I think the format is beginning to work. Some teachers have taken to it like a duck in water. It's more of a learning situation for others, but they're all getting there now.
So you all feel very confident that if we had to do a larger quarantine where the school was on like a larger number of students that couldn't be here, or the whole school, that we would be able to effectively continue our education and learning environment.
A lot better than last spring.
Yeah, a lot better compared to last spring, for sure.
Excellent, it's great to hear. Good work. Anything else? All right, thank you very much for being here, providing all that additional information. It's very important. I appreciate it. All right. Any other items from Mr. Burks to bring up?
Couple of updates from this evening. We had our facilities meeting before the 7 o'clock meeting. We met with 3 of our construction manager at risk companies that are in the running for the contract. We were able to go through a pre-interview type session to allow for question and answers back and forth, to allow each of the 3 companies to get a feel for the project scope, but also for them to gain valuable information as far as putting together a presentation. Presentations for that evening for all 3 firms will take place on November 4th, interview style here in the High School Media Center. They'll take place at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock p.m. In addition, next Friday, which is a day off of school for students, staff will be here engaged in various activities. It'll also be an educational visioning opportunity with Garmin Miller Architects to speak specifically with the K through 5 staff from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Bethel Hall. We'll also allow for community members that are available or any parents that are available to attend. We will record and post it on our YouTube channel, and we will also provide a post-educational visioning meeting number 1 survey to allow folks to provide some valuable feedback in regards to their thoughts on what we talked about during that meeting. We'll have a total of 3 educational visioning meetings. We're also in the process of planning some upcoming site visits with staff and administrators and facility members or board members if they would like to attend. Those visits will be set and the districts will be determined based on the feedback that we receive from that educational visioning meeting, because obviously the feedback the staff shares will determine a lot of, we should take a look at this building versus this building because it might fit more of what the thoughts that were shared during that meeting. So luckily Garmin Miller has been engaged in a significant amount of building projects, and I think they're going to have site visits to probably fit whatever need or vision comes out of that first meeting. I would also strongly encourage folks, parents, community members, staff members, people in general that are associated with Bethel local schools to continue to frequently check our website for updates in the district. I would also strongly encourage folks that if they have a smartphone to sign up for our app that we now have on our phone, which you can get notifications from the district, but also each of the building levels. Not only do we provide insightful weekly updates from principals, but we give major important news updates as well through that mobile app. And then also with the transition as a district to final forms this year, it allows for our building secretaries and principals to easily access large groups of parent emails that we can send out important information home in a group type email setting. So continue to frequently check our website, sign up for our district app, and also routinely check email through final forms, which you'll receive notifications from for important updates. So that's obviously dealing with not only district events, but some of the events that occurred within the last week or so. And then I also failed to mention our 3 firms that are interviewing for the CMR, which is construction manager at risk, which will handle the construction portion of the upcoming K-5 and athletic stadium project, are Peterson Construction, Conger Construction, and Shook Construction. Those are the updates for this evening.
All right, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Next is important dates of the district. Parent Teachers Conference. What happened? Second.
I just sent out 2 updates, the October 23rd educational visioning meeting and the facilities meeting starting at 6. So she'll update those.
Okay.
I started to information meeting.
All right. Does anybody have anything else to bring up? All right. All right. Next up is treasurer's items requesting board action.
I have the following minutes to be approved. September 1st, September 8th, September 14th, and September 22nd. List of bills that were paid for September. The financial report. The amended appropriations. The donations. The addendum to contract. Purchase of the skid steer loader. And the only other thing I added was the foundation that Ms. Petty mentioned about the $1,000 grant that Ms. Davidson got.
Okay. Motion to place those items from the treasurer's report onto the consent calendar.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Julie. Do we have a second?
I'll say.
Thank you, Danny, for the second. Discussion. Brittany, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield.
Yes.
All right. Motion to adopt the consent calendar with the items from the treasurer's report.
I'll make it.
Thank you, Lyda. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori, for the second. Any discussion?
Ryan, one comment on your funds, the financial report by funds. Can we clean up some of the grants that have like $20 or less? It looks like it's just, some of them have just a few cents in, there's maybe a half dozen when you get the chance. I don't know if we can disclose those out or what has to be done.
I can look at it, but won't have to send the money back if we're not gonna use it. I can't just close it out.
I mean, they're just, I'm sure they just didn't quite spend or shipping was slightly different.
If there's a way for, we can encourage whoever got those grants to execute the remaining amount.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Any other discussion items? Brandon, could you call the vote, please?
Ms. Mansfield,
Yes.
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Elam.
Yes.
Excellent. Moving on to number 9, the agenda, it'd be superintendent's items requesting board action.
9A has to do with the resignation of personnel. The board tonight will be accepting the resignation of Mr. Jeff Coyle, Technology Assistant, effective October 2nd, 2020. I'd like to thank Mr. Coyle for his service to the district. I'd like to wish him the very best as he transitions to Perry Pro Tech and a at-home customer service representative type position. Letter B is the approval of a supplemental position. This is in regards to home instruction. So some of our students that are on option C at home to meet the goals and needs of their IEP, their individual education plan, need to have home instruction provided for the necessary goals that are set, but also their minutes of instruction. So thank you to Mrs. Lauren Duhan, who has graciously offered to spend her time outside of school assisting one of our students. We had a second position that we were unable to fill. So Mr. Cochran, our special education director, was able to reach out to other local districts to see if they would have any staff members that were interested. After reaching out to our folks and also ESC staff, either here or in other districts, and not necessarily having any luck. And so he was able to connect with Mrs. Jennifer Browning, who's a a licensed counselor, but also has a teaching experience down in Heber Heights. Her resume is attached for your review. So thank you to those two ladies for helping us out. Letter D is the approval of a supplemental position resignation. The board this evening will be approving the resignation of Kelly Hawk, a freshman boys coach. But as you'll see in letter E, he is getting reassigned from freshman boys to JV boys. And then we're also attached our resumes and also people about activity permits for Jack Brooks, who will be serving as a varsity boys basketball volunteer assistant. Donald Rose, who will be taking Coach Hawk's freshman boys basketball position. And then also former graduate Caleb South will be coming back to help not only the boys, but also the girls programs as a volunteer assistant as well. So all of their resumes and then also people activity permits are attached for your review, but also to know that we continue to move forward with making sure that people are properly licensed and credentialed before we put them on agenda for consideration. Letter F has to do with the approval of the agreement between the owner, which is Bethel Local Schools, and the architect, which is Garmin Miller, for our upcoming K-5 project and also stadium project. Thank you to Garmin Miller and also our attorney, John Pogorski, for working through the details of the contract. And those are the items that I have for consideration this evening.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Motion to place items from the superintendent's report on the consent calendar. Thank you, Danny. Lida for the second. Any discussion?
I just want to say thanks, Justin, for the explanations. The community likes them. It's just good to hear a little bit about each item.
Okay.
It's appreciated.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other?
Excited to see two Bethel graduates in the new coaching staff there that had great success while they were in high school here.
Agreed. It'll be interesting.
Justin, did you get the answer to the question about the architect?
Yeah, I did. I was able to speak with Eric also, and he had indicated that there would be no issues with that.
Okay.
So you're gonna get multiple design, all that good stuff. Yep.
There was, for those who didn't know, there was a, part of the contract said multiple preliminary plans not included, and I wasn't sure what that meant, but I wanted to make sure, because usually there's multiple iterations, and apparently when I was interpreting it was.
Yeah.
Any other? Renee, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield.
Yes.
All right, a motion to adopt the consent calendar with items from the superintendent's report.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Julie, for the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori, for the second. Any further discussion? Brennan, could you call the vote, please?
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. All right. Any further information, sir?
I do not.
All right. Next up is board report. So comments from the board members, board program.
So I'll do the facilities first.
Okay.
That's okay. So pretty short meeting tonight. There's a lot of meetings going on outside, to get things moving. So our first item is that Mr. Furbs gave us status updates. And he gave some of them already, but I'll go through them, just the ones that I have. We just finished the pre-interviews, obviously just prior to the meeting. And there's an environmental study that's going on to look at the creek and potential wetlands. Land survey is going on. Choice One Engineering will be working on a site survey and a traffic impact study. And we're going to do educational visioning sessions. There's 3 scheduled. And a new website tab has been placed on the website for the building project, which is now under construction, so things are coming there. And the next steps will be more educational visioning and meetings to get input from staff members, do some site visits to other schools, and ultimately have a floor plan come out of that.
Excellent, thank you. Anybody else? Next up is, thank you, Julie, for that report, by the way. Next up is comments from the BEA president.
Okay, Mrs. Petty touched on it a little bit with the Bo Townsend, but I wanted to also recognize the middle school and high school teachers as well that were recognized. So congratulations to Mr. Brookhart, Ms. Gerdeman, Mrs. Reitinger, Mrs. Campbell, Mrs. Henry, Mrs. Brinson, Mrs. Fry, Ms. Duhan, Mrs. Rose, Mr. Norman, Ms. Seaback, and Mr. Spears.
We're all included in the vote council.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
$200 a piece.
$200 a piece, yeah. So that is fantastic. Congratulations to them. I wanted to answer your question, Ms. Reese, about our Google Classroom. For conferences, I personally did some virtual ones through Google Meet, and it was fantastic. I could actually take my mask off and have a conversation with the parents. And then I know in high school, we'll be using that for those students that are quarantined. Like, I can just put my laptop up, put the camera on, and teach away, and they're right there with us. So it is, I personally am enjoying, that's the right word, but Google Classroom. So, thank you.
Excellent, thank you, man. Hearing of the public, Brandon, do you have any submissions on YouTube?
I do not.
Okay. From the community member? Do you have any? Okay, that's here present, huh? So thank you. Okay, does anybody see a need for executive session? All right. So, before we move to adjourn, I just want to thank all our teachers and our staff for all the hard work they're putting in every day to try and make this as safe as place possible for our students, and all the administrators that are here with us and in other sections that are tirelessly working to try and reduce quarantines, reduce the spread, taking so much time out of their day just to enforce policy to try and make it safer. Because I think we all want to be here. Biggest thing that we can pass on, I think, from the most recent ones is we're asking you to wear a mask in school. The health department in the state of Ohio have asked you to wear a mask if you're going to be graded less than 6 feet away. So if you're going to have an event after school, and to make sure that you do bring your mask as well to try and maintain social distancing and reduce the spread. I think a lot of people saw like how fast it did with just a small group of people that turned into a large group of people fairly quickly, based on the fact that there was social distancing and mask, I assume, right? So just because of the science says if you don't do these things, then the spread will occur faster. So just ask all the students to continue to do this when they're not in school. I think that would be a great attribute. Yeah.
Also, just not necessarily for clarification, but just to kind of let people know, when we do encounter issues in the district, whether it's COVID, in particular COVID, our first phone call is to the health department. And the good thing about Miami County schools is that we're all on the same page in the fact that our first call is to Miami County Health Department. They walk us through the process. They take us through the contact tracing with, seating charts and buses and cafeteria and classrooms. And the Miami County Health Department really derives the decisions that are being made in the district, whether it be students that are positive cases and how long they have to be at home and when they can return to school, or through contact tracing those students that need to self-quarantine and for how long. And I think, oftentimes folks get frustrated because they feel like Bethel Local Schools is driving those decisions. and that's not necessarily the case. We're just collaborating and working really well with the health department and using their expertise there, kind of shape the decisions that are made here as a district.
Excellent. I think that's a great point. As well, that we're not making that policy and driving it. It's definitely the health department. So that's a good point. So anyways, with that, and thank you to everyone for all their hard work. We really appreciate it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Thank you, Lori. Do we have a second? Thank you, Lida, for the second. Any further discussion? All right, Brenda, call the vote.
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield,
Yes.
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Meeting adjourned at 7:53 PM.
Record.
Time back.